Good afternoon, Coventry people, TIs worldwide, UK around the world, UN establishment and the UK establishment. Gay daily log, 9th October 2020. Yeah, just put on reminder D. I'll put links at the end of this video. Yeah, because it's also about the family court protection, which we don't only use for children and family cases, but use for putting pensioners into other care homes and trying to stitch people up into mental health. Yeah, and it's all corrupted racketeering system. If you watch Reminders D's nearly 3-hour video with loads of women, one even from Coventry, which I'll put a clip on at the end of this, yeah, exposing the family court protections and what kind of racketeering courts they are. Plus, I'll be doing a little presentation kind of thing afterwards about my experience of 15 years. Yeah, so just have a listen to this.
But, the sound file we're finding is causing neuroplasticity, and that is essentially brain or nerve healing. And what I believe is going on is that the neurons are perceiving the waveforms on my proprietary sound mix as reboot signals. In other words, if neural networks are not working properly, this sound wakes up those neurons and they start operating correctly. And it is actually helping many, many different conditions that are unrelated. So it's really been an amazing year. And when I come on your show last time, I had helped 34 people, I believe.
That's right. You had a number.
And we're almost to 1,000 people around the world that have gotten their lives back. You know, the voices have stopped, the tinnitus has stopped.
Oh, that's absolutely wonderful to hear. So this is also good for B2K, people who are reporting B2K, voice to skull, hearing voices.
Yeah, I set out just to help tinnitus. I was attacked in last of 1996 with a sonic-type weapon similar to Cuba, diplomats in Cuba. And that's how I invented this countermeasure, was to stop the attack on my person. And we're finding that this sound also stops natural tinnitus, it stops artificial tinnitus, and a whole host of other conditions that have to do with neurological problems in the brain. So it's actually stopping targeting and repairing the brain damage caused by targeting.
That is absolutely huge. So people cease hearing the voices, cease hearing the frequencies, and at the same time, their brains are getting a boost. The neuroplasticity is returning to their brains.
Yes, and people are getting clarity of mind back. They're getting deeper sleep, which that's one of the biggest aspects of tinnitus. You cannot sleep with a loud ringing in the ears. So, you actually start damaging the brain if you cannot sleep. And that's part of, the CIA's list of tactics is sleep deprivation. So, this type of weapon would be ideal for what they want to do,
And agents of CIA, mental health administrators, police officers, private investigators, private agencies, scientists, sociologists, psychologists, human behavioural scientists, social workers, NHS, mental health, and local criminals, like all I have exposed in Coventry. That's what you're doing from the flat upstairs and doing to my mother. A big broken gang linked to Ashley Mapp, Nathan Crane, Michael Hara, Tasha Griffin, people linked to Patrick Hoban, Miss Hoban, Paul Hoban, and the plastic criminals linked to Amnesia House, to the Dorman Association, Dave Leveridge, Steve Cato and co. But all done it all before to Ian Harding and aided and abetted the Swansea Centre Doctors Association to try and destroy people's lives, minds, bodies and souls in Coventry, and even using drug dealers, to get their rivals addicted, like we did to my brother, like we did to Beiji, like we did to Jez Moran, we've done to Sean Martin Moran, we've done to loads of crackheads, smackheads, and done to loads of homeless people. That's the David Jones lookalike, to the Finbar Brothers, to the boys on the shift, because these boys, think they're Freemasons, think they own this city, and think they can look after their families, their sons and daughters, while they destroy their rivals and pick them off. Yeah, people like Billy Morrison and that have done it to all their rivals. Billy Morrison's done it to about 5 or 6 people. Yeah, open your eyes, everyone.
And really what this is all about is they want to be able to remove people from civilization without knocking on their door, without arresting them, without taking to court. They want to be able to drive someone insane by putting a noise in their ears. And then...
That's what they're doing, Dave, to me. But I've researched and full of them. That's now we're still here. Yeah, they can hear me loud and clear. Yeah, that's how broken the David Jones look like is. How broken the Coventry firemen are. How broken the CID are, the private detectives. How broken the NHS are, Justin Nahiri, Sally Farvey and co. Yeah, how broken all their boyfriends are. Yeah, I intend to prison the whole gang. Yeah, and take every single penny off them. Yeah, until they learn the lesson. They can't mess around with some people. Yeah, they've messed around with other people before. So I'm doing it for all the people that they have destroyed, for all their families they've destroyed, for the likes Ian Hardy and Trigger, Dean Piffy, Richard Everett. Yeah, to Rob Henry. Yeah, to Neil Harrington's. Yeah, for the Jez Morans. Yeah, for the Lee Swinburnes or Jason Swinburnes. Yeah, these people have to be outside that Coventry. Yeah, Ashley Mapp and Nathan Crane or Margaret Hara. Yeah, to Ryan Lewis, Tony Chapman. Yeah, to Lyndon Logan, to the David Jones lookalike, to the likes of Billy Morrison, Nev Fivey, Kieran Fivey, Dave Leveridge, Steve Cater, and all their sons and daughters have to go to prison along with Zena Logan, the Ralph Benitez lookalike, the Caucasian Girl, the Swords Centre doctors for historical crimes against humanity, and all their CID training from Shirley Police Training School to the Coventry Police. Yeah, and all the firemen who coming up from, and all the Armed Forces boys, Marvin Davis, Steve Blaney, yeah, and all the boys at SCS, LGBT community, the Lee family, yeah, and all the management who coming up from, yeah, all the Paul Southerns, yeah, the Armed Forces boys, the Paul Malcolms, to the Duncan Furbies, the Def Coverages, to all the West Midlands network, to the fucking Danny Dileys, to the boys in fucking London, yeah, to Leon Graham Stokes, to fucking Paddy, to all the Carter Wiseman fucking connections, to Jenny, yeah, to Roger, to who else, to Rob Gray, yeah, to all their gym connections, to all the bodyguard training connections, to all their doorman connections. Yeah, I'm going to name every single one, Simon Tilley and all his connections from the co-op, and we're going to imprison them. Yeah?
That person destroys their own life by accusing their neighbors of having, equipment targeting them, etc. And so, it's almost a perfect weapon because it leaves little or no evidence. And I call it remotely induced schizophrenia. Because,
remotely induced schizophrenia.
Yes, remotely induced schizophrenia because they are simulating schizophrenia by administering these type technologies to the ears.
It's man-made schizophrenia. It's man-made mental health illnesses. Yeah, and also we're going to imprison all the gamblers. Take every penny off Finbar Brewer. Yeah, and the John McKenna's. All the CCFC Legion boys. Yes, to every gambler. Yeah, who should we begin with? The people who worked at Co-op, Kathy. Yeah, Macca's fucking mother. Yeah, to Macca's father. Yeah, Dill. Yeah, to Macca the football player. To all these boys from fucking Hillfields. Yeah, to little Raph. To little fucking Archie, to Gaz Cohen, to Mark, to Dottie, and Maggie Cullerhane, to Brendan Anderson, to all the people who reported at SCS, who are benefited police informers, listed police informers, and that's why social services, do not take children off these delinquent, degenerate fucking families, because they're listed police informers, likes of Ian Carey, the likes of fucking Sean, ex-crackhead, smackhead who worked at SCS, got about 6, 7, fucking 14 kids between them, to fucking, to the Bedworth people, to broken Middlesbrough people like Simon Tilley, to the broken fucking North East people, to the broken fucking Scousers from Stoke-on-Moor they've gotten fucking William Malcolm House, to the broken fucking LGBT community, they are all listed police informers, and we'll get to the bottom of it all, they are the degenerate families, and they gang up on people not in their families, not in their circles, not in the friendship or they fell out with, or on foreigners, on black people, they want to experiment on, and that's what we've been doing for decades and generations since the 80s and 90s in Coventry, via the miners linked to Dave Leveridge, We have the Navy, linked to Carl Keeble. You have the Armed Forces boys, linked to Steve Cater, Nat Farthey, Kieran Farthey, Lyndon Logan, Leon Graham Stokes. You have the Jamaicans who went for the British Army. Yeah, to loads of council workers who've been in the army, to loads of fireman boys who've been in the army, the Foreign Legion, little David Jones lookalike. Yeah, to the Phil Rooney's. Yeah, to the Charles Moore boys, linked to Sally Farthey, and again Carl Keeble. Yeah, and to Fraser, to Froggy. Yeah, we're going to imprison this gang until they've learnt the lesson. They can't fuck around with some people like me. Yeah, we ain't going to tolerate it because we're doing it for the good of humanity. Let's pause this a minute, find the next video. Right, this next video is a family court protection. Yeah, it's these two videos today are from Romana D. The last couple of hours, the last day. This one's news panel with UK mothers, failure, fraud, crime, corruption, injustice in the UK family court protection courts. One of the girls had experience with Coventry social services. I think she's from Coventry. So I'll just play her now.
Hard to imagine that this is something that's been going on for so long and to so many people.
Yes.
So Maria, you come into this story from another angle, right? And that has to do with children. So did you want to tell us what your experience has been like?
That's Maria.
Yeah, I ended a 10-year relationship with a quite wealthy man because he wasn't getting on with my elder children. And he instantly started phoning up social services and making false allegations and financially destitute myself and my children. And it went from there really, but my children were illegally kidnapped from my mother's house. We was in a safe place. I'd taken my children out of that environment to put them in a safe place. And they came and they took my children illegally. And from there, really, just constant lies, making up allegations. I was accused of being a drug user, an alcoholic. I've done hair strand tests that came back negative, and yet it still states in all my children's documents that I'm an alcoholic and a drug user. Just constant in the court. When you go into court, it's so traumatizing. So traumatizing. I had a mental breakdown as soon as they took my children. I lost everything. I lost my home. I lost my job. I was left on the street sleeping on a park bench. I went to every single service possible to ask for help. Nobody would help me. Social services were actually telling people that I had hit my son over the head with a hammer, that I had been arrested for war crimes.
Did they just make these stories up? Who made them up?
Yeah, completely made up. I didn't even have a criminal record at the time. My first criminal record, 7 weeks after they took my children, I hadn't seen my children for 7 weeks, and I was completely distraught, crying continuously.
How old were your children when they were taken?
10 and 2. My 2.5-year-old is severely autistic. My little girl was 10 years old. And they took them out of their beds. I did my brother video recorded it, and it is on Facebook for people to see. My baby being taken out of his bed. She then went into the court on the Monday morning and she told the judge that they came round to check on the children and that I was violent towards a social worker in front of the children. The children were in bed, and you can see them video recording going up to the bedroom, taking them out of bed, sitting down, having a conversation with my mum. She told my mum my children would be returned in 72 hours. They refused to allow me any contact for 7 weeks. My solicitor was phoning. I finally went to contact, and I turned up 10 minutes late because I was stood outside crying, and they told me I couldn't see my children if I was crying. So I sorted myself out and went inside. I was sat there for 45 minutes, and then she came out and told me I couldn't see my children. It was Mother's Day. She handed me a Mother's Day card, and I snatched it out of her hand. I angrily snatched the card out of her hand, and I went to jump off the motorway bridge. I left the building and I went to jump off the motorway bridge. Sorry. And I was arrested that night and taken to the police station, to the psychiatric hospital. They tried to have me sectioned, but let me go. And then 2 days later, it was my little boy's 3rd birthday. And I was sat in contact for an hour, and 2 police officers walked in and they arrested me violently, dragged me out the building. I was locked in a cell for my baby's 3rd birthday. And then
Which building was that? The social services building?
Telford Social Services.
Telford
Social Services. I was having the police arrest me every time I left my house for obstruct police. They would phone me up and convince me they just wanted to check how I was, because obviously I was distraught and traumatised. And they would make me go and meet them somewhere. I'd go and meet them and they'd arrest me, beat me up. I had broken ribs. They put me through 6 months of pure torture.
You were beaten up in jail?
I realised that the police was in on it. The police were helping. The police were making up allegations, and it was awful. It was a year of complete and utter hell. I had a mental breakdown eventually, and I tried to take my life, and I ended up in a psychiatric hospital for 2 months. I came out of the psychiatric hospital, and I found out I was pregnant, and I tried to put my life back together. My eldest moved back in with me. I got everything needed, and I did everything they said. I thought, I'll do everything they say, and I'll play the game, and I did everything. I went into a mother and baby unit, and they praised me. You're an amazing mother, you're an amazing mother. And then at the end, they took me to court and they said that I might potentially get into a domestic violent relationship sometime in the future. So based on that fact, I'm never allowed to see my children again, and they adopted him anyway. But they kidnapped him from the mother and baby unit when I was in court without my knowledge. I was breastfeeding, and he'd been in my care from the day he was born. And they just took him when I went to court one day. I haven't seen him since.
I'm so sorry. I was actually just bumped offline, and I've just come back in, so I missed a little part of what you said.
It's sorry.
I'm so sorry that you've been put through such incredible horrors. And, did you even have a lawyer at the time? Did you have anyone to help you through this?
Through numerous lawyers. They wouldn't even call me back. Before all of this started, I'd already got a call recorder on my phone. So I have every single phone call that I've ever had with social services recorded. I also recorded every single meeting with police, meeting with social workers. They were writing in their statements I was threatening them. I was aggressive. They portrayed me to be one of the most violent people that you could meet. They had me on a flag system on the hospital. If I went to visit the hospital, the doctors would come in and say, sorry, we can't see you alone because you've flagged up on our system as being a very violent person.
Wow.
Because I snatched the card out of the social worker's hand. That's the only violent thing I've ever done.
And who exactly is responsible for these very wrongful accounts? Is it the police or is it social services? The social worker.
But police and social workers were working together to make sure, because I was recording everything, they didn't like it.
Which is well within your rights.
I was not allowed to go to meetings. I've never been to a LAC review for my children. I've never been invited to a meeting. They won't have me in a meeting because I record everything. They won't have me in a meeting.
Very, very...
I've never been invited to anything. I don't know nothing about my children since the day they were taken.
It seems like you've actually been the victim of multiple crimes here, multiple injustices.
I recorded everything. The police didn't... My daughter ran away from school at around 6 months after they took her, but I was living literally yards away from her school. in the same street. She ran away and she came home, and I waited for half an hour before I notified them that she'd turned up, because I'd missed her and I wanted to spend some time with her before they took her back. I phoned them up and told them that she was at my house. 10 police cars turned up, riot vans, police cars. They completely surrounded my whole street. I put my camera on record, and I was begging them to back off, and because I was scared. I was too scared to go out my house. And I begged them to back off, and they wouldn't. And I recorded the whole thing. They eventually smashed down my front door. They run up into my bedroom. They dragged my daughter out of my arms. They picked me up and they jumped on me and broke 4 ribs. I broke 4 ribs. They were sticking out my back. They then locked me in a cell for 4 days. They kept getting extensions to try and have me done for kidnapping my own daughter. I notified them she was with me. If I was going to kidnap her, I'd have run away. I wouldn't have stayed in a house yards up the street from a school. And they locked me in a cell for 4 days and they tortured me. They tortured me in that cell. Teresa Murray, from a charity called One Voice Against Domestic Abuse. She took all my recordings and she took everything I had and she wrote up her own chronology of my events. And she had a psychiatric nurse who worked at a hospital in Coventry to work with me for over a year. And they did a full report and a chronology and they took it into court. She knew I was telling the truth about everything because she listened to all of my phone calls. She spent weeks and weeks listening to everything. And she tried so hard to help me. But the truth of it is there is no help for anybody. Who do you turn to if the police and all the people that are there that are meant to help and protect you? Who do you turn to when they're all criminals? Who do you turn to? There isn't anyone to turn to, is there?
And that's how shocking the system is. Yeah, they're all connected, they're all involved. From police officers, yeah, to social workers, to the NHS, to the mental health, yeah, to judge and jurors, family court protections, and racketeer. Well, in my case, 2005 up to now, yeah, they've been doing hidden case studies and research and training all their people. Yeah, training them around me, my mother and my brother, and moving the goalpost, the strategies and the protocols year after year, while they've allowed all their local families who are listed as police informers, that's the way I see them now, yeah, they've allowed them to access or get information from the cover players to pass information on about my football, because they knew I was winning a few times a season, so they wanted to allow the local people, the police informers, 1, to win money, 2, to ridicule and laugh, yeah, at the people they've listed, yeah, and so that they can do a slander, a defamation and counter campaign on families that they are trying to destroy. Well, the local informers, the people aiding and abetting on, witness statements, witness makers, statement makers, phone callers to social workers, yeah, they're all sitting there having a fucking laugh, thinking, yeah, we'll mess these people up, we'll mess the family up, blah, 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 blah. And that's what they've done. Yeah, we've done what we've done to my brother. Yeah, I want people's heads to roll for it. I want them people to be imprisoned. Yeah, what we've done to my mother. Yeah, that's they have to be imprisoned, lifed off. Yeah, and what they're trying to do to me. Yeah, I'm just exposing it all. So they can't do anything to me because my mind's tuned in to all the corruption, the racketeering that's going on, and to what we do to people. And I'm waiting for their downfall. Yeah, I'm waiting for them to be arrested. Yeah, and destroy the careers of the seniors, the retired, the seniors, the management in all the sectors in the police force. Yeah, all the juniors. Yeah, the judging jurors. Yeah, and then all the people we've used in the local community, want them imprisoned for being racketeering, career criminal, minded, active, over operators and cover operators who are going gangstalking for them. That's how I can get a big massive network to stalk me, my mother, my brother, because we're mapped out everywhere. They've trained the police officers and they've got all the local criminals involved, all the local hooligans, all the local fraudsters, all the local armed forces boys, Navy boys, doormen boys, miners boys, over the whole UK community, while there's some gypsies out there and who are also listed informers who are aiding and abetting them. Ron Lewis is a gypsy, Dave Leveridge is a gypsy, yeah, and they come from gypsy families. Yeah, so full exposure, full disclosure. I was going to do a longer presentation of how long it's been going on for 15 years and what we've done each year. But I'll save that for another day. The saga continues. Everyone have a good day.